everyone, my name is Ashley Beeson and welcome back to my channel, and today we are doing episode 2 of Bake With Me. I wanted to do a bit more of a themed recipe this time around, and because spring is here, I figured let's keep that theme going. And so the recipe that we're going to be doing in today's video is a very easy, very good, very simple strawberry shortcake cake. What I love about it is that it's not overly sweet, it's not super heavy, it's very easy to make in general, and I think it's a really good spring recipe. And of course I will have the original recipe linked in the description below, but without further ado, let's just get right into the baking. Okay, so we are going to start with the main part of this recipe, which is obviously going to be the cake. And I already have everything pre-measured, but the recipe is, again, very simple. It's just some flour, sugar, butter, eggs, a little sour cream, some baking powder, a little bit of salt, and some vanilla. So we are going to start with the wet ingredients first and start getting all of that incorporated before we add in the dry ingredients, just like you would with lots of other cake recipes or cookie recipes. It's a pretty standard practice. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to add 1 cup of unsalted softened butter. It's just 2 sticks basically. Cut, so we're gonna get that in. And then we're gonna add 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, and then we wanna just mix this until it's fully combined and fluffy and there's no lumps of butter. Okay, all nice and creamed together and fluffy. And so the next step is to take our 4 eggs, and we are going to add 1 in at a time and then mix a little, get it incorporated, and then add them all individually, and we don't want to over mix too. And these eggs are room temperature too. I don't know if I said that already. And then next we are going to add our vanilla. This is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Then we're gonna add in 1/2 cup sour cream and then get that all mixed together. And if you're someone that doesn't like sour cream, like I don't like sour cream, you don't taste it in the cake. It's just there to help with the texture and the moisture factor. So this is what it looks like. If it looks a little curdled or kind of weird, that's okay. It's supposed to be, so don't freak with that. And then the last thing we're gonna add is all of our dried ingredients. So there's just 2 cups of flour in here, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and then 1 teaspoon of salt. And you're gonna do it in 2 batches. So you're gonna do half of it first, mix it, and then do the rest, mix it until it's fully combined. that is the complete cake batter. And then all you're gonna do now is just divide up the batter and put it into some greased pans. So I'm going to do that really quick and then we'll come back to get them into the oven. All right, so I have these are 8x8 circle cake pans and the batter is halved. So I'm going to stick these into the oven that is at 350 for 25 minutes and then we'll check, but they should be pretty good around that time. So get these into the oven. And you want to make sure that they're both on the same rack so that they bake evenly. So we'll check back on that once the timer goes off. All right, cakes are ready to come out. I did end up sticking them in for another minute, so 26 minutes. So we're gonna pull them out. They just need to be cooked in the middle and then also releasing from the sides a little bit, which they are. And then we're going to let those sit and cool completely, but while they're cooling, we're gonna get some of the strawberries prepped and into the fridge and sitting. All right, so while the cakes are cooling, we're gonna move on to the middle strawberries that will be like part of the filling of the cake. And all it is, they're macerated strawberries, which means you just take a fruit and you add some sugar to it and you let it sit and it all becomes one kind of thing. That's all that is. So I'm gonna grab strawberries. And we only need about a cup and a half of these. And you just wanna cut off the greens and then you wanna kind of take out like a little bit of like the white part. You're gonna hold it out a little bit and then you're just gonna make slices and stick them into a different bowl. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so I have, this is basically a cup and a half of strawberries. And then I'm going to take a tablespoon of regular granulated sugar and pour that in. And then you just want to mix it up a little bit. To get them all coated. So coated in sugar, and then you're gonna wanna cover this and then let it sit in the fridge for anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes. I'm gonna let it sit 30 minutes starting and then however long it is before I actually put the cake together. And you just want all of the juices of the fresh strawberries and the sugar to become one delicious thing. All right, so the last thing that we have to actually make is the homemade whipped cream, which is 3 ingredients. It's just 1 pint, which is 2 liquid cups of heavy whipping cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 2/3 of powdered sugar. And you'll just whip it together to get a medium stiff peak. You don't want something super, super stiff. You just kind of want something that's a stiff peak, but not a lot. And so usually you can hand mix it with a whisk. That takes a lot of effort. I have a KitchenAid that I love using for this, but the key to making whipped cream is that you do need your bowl to be cold. So this has been sitting in the fridge for a little bit, and I'm just gonna add in the ingredients. So heavy whipping cream. The vanilla. And then the powdered sugar. And you just wanna get it in, put the attachment, and then let it run. You're gonna kind of want it to be on a high speed so it will actually whip. Don't over whip it because you'll make butter, but you kind of just want a medium stiff peak when it comes to whipped cream. No, it's not super stiff, but there's a little bit of body to it. It's exactly what we're looking for. So that's what we're looking for. But I'm gonna leave it in the fridge until we're ready to actually put the cake together. And while we're in the last segment of the cake's cooling, I'm gonna finish getting the rest of the strawberries sliced and prepped, and then we will be ready to assemble. All right, we are ready to assemble. So I have one of the cakes on the plate, and then you're gonna take the whipped cream and you're gonna wanna, I just like to do like a cross in it, an X in it to segment it out. And you're gonna wanna use 1/4 of this whipped cream on the cake first and just get a good layer on the cake. And then you're gonna wanna take all of the macerated strawberries that have just the strawberries and the sugar that's been sitting in the fridge. You wanna take all of this and just spoon this onto this. I'm trying to make it maybe a little even. And then you're gonna wanna take another 1/4 of the whipped cream and gently add it onto the strawberries. gently. And then I'm gonna stick this in the fridge for a little bit because the cream is slipping a little bit. All right, so it's been in the fridge for a few minutes. So the rest of the cake, you just add the rest of the whipped cream to the top, and then you add just plain strawberries in a pretty design, I guess. So I'm gonna get that done and then back into the fridge a little bit before we cut into it. All right, I'm gonna get it back into the fridge to sit a little bit more, and then we'll cut into it. Here's the cake. It is a little messy, which isn't very new for me when I bake. But I'm going to cut into it and then eat it, and it will be delicious, even though it is a bit of a mess. And it does slip a little bit because of the whipped cream. It is still a very good cake. All right, I have my piece. I didn't cut it on camera, obviously, but let's eat it. Get some cake and some whipped cream and some strawberry. I just like that it's not super sweet. I don't like super sweet things. I like that it's not frosting and it's whipped cream instead. Fresh strawberries are always good. The cake is pretty light despite being pretty heavy in like actual weight, but it has a nice subtle soft flavor. It's not too crazy. It's just a nice overall cake that if you don't want a lot of sweet, this is what you should pick. And it's just a good spring cake too. So I'm happy with it. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll make sure to have the original link to the recipe down in the description box. But I would also love to hear if any of you end up trying this recipe, if you like it as much as I do, and you can drop a comment down below about that. But as for this video, it is the end, so I want to wish you guys a happy spring and a happy Easter if you celebrate that as well. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.